Announcements, my dudes. Announcing private leagues. 1,700 comments. Holy shitteroni. I'm a little bit late to the party, but screw it. This was supposed to be the experimental feature that they were making an announcement of an announcement. We're pleased to announce that we will start making these private leagues available for purchase next week. Oh, fuck. It's even this league. Oh, I didn't... Okay. I mean, that's way cooler. Pricing. Private leagues cost 120 points to create. They last 10 days and have 10 player slots. That's a lot less than I thought it's gonna be. 120 only? No stashes. Holy shit. This was for true masochists. Yeah, tell me about it. Oh no. Without the ability to store items for later characters in a no stash league need to live off the land with constraints that make completing Path of Exile a lot more challenging. This is like the Isla League or something. What the fuck is this? No magic or rare item drops. In leagues of this type, you can only find normal and at their usually drop rate unique items. So you have to use every currency item you find to add mods to your gear. Oh, that's actually so cool. So you can still make this stuff, but it doesn't have to drop and you don't have to pick up all the garbage. Oh, I like that a lot. Ooh, you'll find yourself actually using Orb of Transformation. Oh, this is like SSF. Running out of essences and treasuring every chaos orb for its intended purpose. Trade values of currency items will likely be extremely different in leagues like this due to opportunity cost. Woo! I like this one a lot. No magic or rare item drops. I love this one. Oh, that slows down gearing so hard. Holy shit, you're going to be buying like life triple resistance gloves for hundreds of chaos, man. Or not hundreds, but like 30 or something. Oh, it's so fucking pog, dude. I love this one. Famine leagues, your life, mana, energy shield, and flask do not refill when you go to town. This can be added alongside other mods to create the ultimate live off the land league. We have plans for even more mods to add this to the system. It's just item durability, where item quality can become negative with use and the item is destroyed when it hits -20? What? The fuck? What is this? Once the league is started, the mods cannot be changed. Ooh. Uh-oh. I don't know about that. So that players who complete difficult objectives in the league can easily demonstrate that all the mods were present at the point that it was achieved. I don't know if I care about that. Players in a private league are able to voluntarily migrate their characters or their entire league state out to the parent league, just like with regular SSF leagues. Because these private leagues only make the game harder, this presents no fairness issues to the economies that they are moving their characters into. Oh, I'm scared of that. Or maybe not abusable, but you could like pull a lot of people to impact an economy pretty heavily, like suddenly, you know? But it would have to be like a really large arrangement of things. And even then, since they don't really have a benefit, they're like gathering the same thing at the same time. Or at like a slower pace. I would just be scared of like a lot of shit being moved at the same time into an economy, you know? And then these people who don't have anything at stake, like impacting the trade. Like, yeah, it doesn't really impact the numbers, but if you suddenly have, you know, 50 more shavs on a server, that's something that I don't think somebody selling a shavs on a temporary league would particularly enjoy. If these things trickle in, that's a different thing. But if it's suddenly there's 50 more and everybody's, you know, putting a lower price, I mean, I'm kind of scared of that. I mean, don't get me wrong, like this is pretty much a necessity. More details. For now, private leagues are PC only feature. Suck on that, Diablo. So there's many things to this. As a person who has been into racing for an extremely long time and speedrunning Path of Exile, and as a person who has organized many events in the past, and maybe some of you guys have participated in the most recent Bay class, we talked quite extensively about the possibility of private leagues, and we've known that forever. This has been like on the table. However, again, if you followed all the stuff, GGG has for the longest time disregarded any sort of community events and any sort of racing events, even the ones organized by themselves, under the premise of we don't want you playing something else than the core game. It's not essentially that, but I mean, it is essentially that, but it's not necessarily the type of words that they used. To give you some examples, you know, racing has pretty much been abandoned in its entirety simply because they said that it was detrimental for the game, and people who participate in racing generally will end up quitting the game for the entirety of the league after, you know, they've done events and stuff like this, and so it was detrimental. And on top of it, I mean, they didn't have a proper way of monetizing racing and stuff like this, which obviously must have impacted that as well. Not only are you bleeding players, but you're also not necessarily gaining anything from it because it doesn't have any outside of the community reach, because it wasn't really marketed ever. It was just like, hey, there's going to be events for 1 month. And then the events would end and they wouldn't even announce the winners or anything like that. It wasn't marketed at all. It was, as somebody looking at it from like a, you know, PR or marketing point of view, like it was an absolute disaster. And so racing was bad in that way. And then also, to give you another example, in the past, before SSF was a thing, so this was quite a bit ago, which obviously means that their perspective might have changed. In the past, I've organized a bunch of SSF events with quite a bit of support, the ladder system and all this sort of stuff. Maybe some of you guys remember when that was a thing. And whenever these sort of things were organized, we would frequently reach out to GGG and they would simply refuse to promote it. We would go, hey, you know, the league's been running for 2 months. There was recently a 1 week or a 2 week race. Back then it was mostly 1 week races. I think there was only ever 1 2 week race in general. And we have nothing to do. So we're organizing this event. Could you promote it so that more people would join? And GGG would say, no. We're not going to promote it because we don't want people playing it. We want people playing the things that we release. And so that always kept me very skeptical when it came to private leagues, where I thought that it either wouldn't be released following that sort of mentality because it would dilute the players too much. Oh, and I guess the third example would be SSF, where SSF was not supposed to be a thing forever, and then eventually they kind of went, you know what, we're gonna do SSF. But this, to me, was under the premise that only like 1 to 5% of the community is going to actually engage with this. Which made sense, you know, and I think that's pretty much exactly what's going on with SSF. I don't even think it's 5%. Maybe at some point in the league, for a very short period of time, it's to that extent, but I generally don't think so. So, to me, prior to this announcement, private leagues needed to work in pretty much one way possible, which was it's either not going to happen because it would give the player base too much control that GGG always wanted to keep for themselves, with this sort of Blizzard like you think you do but you don't type of mentality, or it would be so inaccessible that only, again, 1 to 5% of the community would engage with it without actually, you know, hurting the temporary leagues that are supposed to be the primary focus of the player base. But it's not what they did. It seems incredibly accessible. It seems good. And it also seems available at any point in a league, which gives the players all the control. So if you followed the pattern of the things that I was just talking about, it's almost a complete 180 on their mentality. I mean, I realistically couldn't be happier, because if GGG takes such a large leap of faith, and this doesn't mean that this is going to stay, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to always be looking like this, where it's always going to be available. It doesn't mean that the system won't change in general. It's an experimental feature. But yeah, they gave us a lot of power, and I definitely wasn't expecting it to be the way it is, to, I guess, finish up my long rant about things that GGG like did in the past that I didn't particularly enjoy. This took me quite a bit by surprise, to be honest. But yeah, it seems a lot more available than I thought in terms of how much it costs. It seems like in general they're just kind of taking a very right but very risky approach. It seems like private leagues to me are everything that I've wanted them to be, especially if they continue to expand on the mods. There are already some mods that I really like, but if they continue to grow them, especially with this, they've described it perfectly down here, with this Iron Man-like old school action RPG in the 90s mentality, then I mean, it's great. Shit. What can I say? I'm pretty surprised. I'm pretty surprised that this is working out the way it is. And I'm not necessarily surprised because I think like this is like a bad business move or anything like that, because I'm one of those people that always kind of bashed on GGG for having such a narrow-minded approach when it comes to these things. I mean, like the problems that I've mentioned previously, yeah, they just had a really fucking narrow-minded approach, man. A really bad. It was like they would launch a month of racing with no marketing, no promotion, no rewards, and it would be a full month of their league. And then they would go, well, this clearly doesn't work. Nobody wants to do this. It's like, yeah, nobody wants to do this. Like, the fuck? You could release the best product in the world, but if there's no way to monetize it and you don't change that ever, and there's no way to promote it, nobody's gonna play it. And yeah, this is just a complete 180 of that. Just absolute 180. So either something changed or they've finally seen the light. I don't know. It's so, yeah, it's really surprising to me. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to... experimental is the right word. If anything, this will be severely experimented. I just really admire the large cojones on GGG. And quite frankly, after this announcement, I'll be honest, I would like them in my mouth. So, yeah, private leagues. Who would have thought? It's here and it's happening.